Paris. My address was 51 Rue du Pré Saint-Gervais. It was a working class neighborhood and our apartment was small. It wasn't terribly well insulated, so if you had a noisy neighbor, you were out of luck. My father worked in leather. He was a maroquinier. He made suitcases and ladies' pocketbooks and men's billfold, things like that. My mother worked as a companion to a French woman until she got married in 1929. In 1942, I was 12 years old and my sister Micheline was 4. Two days before the great roundup of Jews on July 16, 1942, my father was warned that his name was on the list of Jews targeted for arrest. He was told, throw some necessities in a suitcase and leave immediately. As a family, we were taken in by the Malobertis in the town of La Varenne. Suzanne Maloberti worked with my father, and Marcel Maloberti was a mason by trade. He had built the house we now were living in. So now all 4 of us were together in hiding. That is, we became non-existent. Now started a life, very limited, but a life nonetheless. It went on with a good measure of anguish about every little noise, the potential discovery and hostility of the neighbors. One morning I woke up to find someone had spattered black paint on a white wall on the front of the house to spell "Jews hide here." Luckily, Mr. Maloberti was home, so he immediately repainted the wall and covered the damage. This began a period of intense anguish. Waited at any moment the dreaded doorbell with French police coming to arrest us all. None came. We lived there for 9 months, but it was beginning to be too dangerous for the 4 of us to be together. So on April 19, 1943, my sister Micheline and I were taken to the village of Montjavoux, near Normandy. An acquaintance of Mr. Maloberti agreed to give shelter to 2 Jewish girls. It would be the last time I would see my father until after the liberation. Our mother was going to accompany us. We left the house at 4 a.m. I remember the whole scene. I remember the sounds, the smells, the merle, blackbird in the thrush family, considered the finest singer, whistler in the alien population. They sing at sunrise and sundown. It is the most beautiful and serene sound imaginable, a sound that brings joy, a sound that brings tears to your eyes. All was so peaceful. I asked myself, how could nature be so beautiful, so peaceful when I was in such anguish? How could the world be so horrible in the face of such grandeur? Why? Why? get to the train that would take us to Montjavoux, we had to climb a long flight of stairs at the Gare Saint-Lazare railway station. People were beginning to appear to board a train to their jobs. All faces were somber. One felt the gloom of unoccupied people. I remember that long flight of stairs. My little sister was carrying a brown paper bag with inside her chamber pot. As we climbed the back door and the chamber pot then clanged down, Mother was mortified, mostly because attracting attention was the last thing she needed. My sister and I had forged papers, but we were never called upon to show them. We arrived safely in Montjavoux, met the woman I would come to call ma tante, my aunt, Jeanne Lamboux. She offered us refreshments and talked to us very kindly. Maman had to go back to La Varenne. It was heartbreaking. We embraced and said goodbye. As unbelievable as it seems, I have a very positive memory of my experience there. My aunt was actually a wonderful asset in my life. She was a nurse and midwife, had practically delivered all the babies in the village, and had a varied and colorful life despite great struggles. She treated me as an adult and equal. Shared her life's experience with me very openly, and gave me an invaluable knowledge that helped me throughout my entire life. She had a huge responsibility. Here was a young adolescent girl on the verge of womanhood. I did not go to school, but I helped with the cleaning and the large garden. See, my tante grew all sorts of vegetables and fruit. She also raised chicken, ducks, geese, and rabbits. I also, of course, took complete care of my little sister. She became my child, my baby. I felt very protective of her. Like everybody, we had to house 2 German officers. My tante had an extra bedroom, and the 2 men were placed in there. The younger of the 2 was 28, shy and blushed like a beet every time he saw me. We never talked. The older one was 32, but looked much older. He had been pulled from the Russian front to go to Normandy. We communicated, he in German, me with my broken, limited German. He was a gentleman, took his boots off upon entering the house, was extremely courteous and considerate, and never asked personal questions. It was foolish of me to speak German with him. It could have resulted in a catastrophe, but luckily it did not. One early morning, the 6th of June, 1944, my tante heard rumors. She went to the center of the village and confirmed that the Allied had landed. So the Wehrmacht left and the American army moved in and liberated us. We were delirious with happiness. Free at last, about the 25th of August 1944. One has to experience an oppressor for 4 years to really know what freedom means. I think the word freedom, Liberté, Freiheit, is the most beautiful word in any language. In early September, Maman came to retrieve us. She was so glad to have her family back together again. During my time in Montjavoux, I thought that we were the only Jews, but in recent years I found out that there were other Jews being hidden in the village. As it turned out, the whole village was involved in hiding Jews. Farmers were hiding parents who did not know where their children were hidden, and vice versa. I would never have believed this Hard-working, gruff farmers would risk their lives to save Jews, and nobody thought. We were never able to make contact with the Malobertis, who risked all to save our lives. They could not be reached. However, I stayed in touch with my tante. I visited her regularly and wrote to her after immigrating to the US in 1952. I visited her in 1954. Upon a return visit to France, she was in a nursing home where she retired. It was extremely touching. Upon my return to the US, I found out she had died in September 1954. She was 73. I still miss her. She will live in my memory and heart as long as I do.